We are now recording.
Okay.
So, for confidentiality reasons, of course, you're being recorded. If at any point during this interview you want to stop the recording, let me know. And I do really appreciate you taking this time.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to.
Thank you. To start off, just for everyone that's watching, can you tell us who you are and a little bit of your background?
Sure. I'm Mark Knox, one of the professors at Colorado Christian University, actually. I retired from the Army about 2 years ago. I was an Army chaplain for 25 years. And there, kind of my specialty became marriage and family therapy. So the last 4 years, I trained other chaplains in counseling and marriage and family therapy. Became an approved supervisor, AMFT approved supervisor. And that's kind of how I finished up. So I still do a lot of counseling, trauma therapy, and marriage and family, my two areas.
So one of the questions, and I feel like that kind of ties into some of the questions I'm going to ask you, and knowing your background, I feel like I might know this, but how did you know that family and marriage counseling was for you, and that's where God was calling you to work?
Yeah, it's kind of a peculiar way it happened, really. I mean, in the military, in the Army, about halfway through, when you make major, they have a board that meets for additional schoolings. And at that time, I was really involved in special operations and had actually gone down to Florida and briefed a general on, there's a bunch of people, it was led by a 3-star general on getting ready to go to Bosnia and the religions in Bosnia. So what I wanted to do was get selected for world religions. Then would tie right in with the special ops and keep me in that lane a bit more. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, the Army selected me for schooling in marriage and family therapy. So that was the way, the
Lord.
What is it that they said? We used to have a plaque that where the Lord wants us, the Army sends us, or something like that.
That's very fitting. Yeah, that's very fitting.
But out of it, what I discovered, that was a 3-year commitment of my military career was in marriage and family therapy. What I discovered was that was where I really came alive. That was my interest, was working with people, with couples, with families.
So you found it kind of brought out that spark that you didn't know you even had before.
Yeah, yeah, sure did.
Awesome. Another question, how do you integrate faith with your therapy sessions and your practice as a whole?
Sure. Well, in private practice, I would say about half of my counseling is purely, evidence-based counseling that doesn't have a lot of overt display of faith.
Yeah.
I still pray for those clients. I still regard it as part of my ministry, trying to help bring some healing to their lives. But in our sessions, God may never be mentioned.
Yeah.
On the other hand, just from reading my profile in Psychology Today, it's evident that faith is an important part of my life.
Yeah. And
so what I find is a lot of clients that come to me because they want faith to be a part of the counseling process, either because it's important to them or it's an area where they're doing some searching. So it comes up usually in the assessment, usually in that very first visit. Actually had a session right before you came in, and I had no idea that faith was an important part of her life, but that's a big part of why she's here. So,
awesome. So the marketing kind of helps so that and they kind of let you know
if
they want to integrate it. And then if not, then you just wait for them to bring it up in some way.
Yeah.
However, you're always praying for them.
And it's not a real deliberate marketing. I get advertisements about every week from an organization, Christian Counselors Network, I think it is. It's going to expand all my Christian, potential Christian clients. To tell you the truth, I have more clients than I know what to do with. So I don't listen to those advertisements, but I don't market myself as a Christian counselor. I just, in my profile, it's just clear that that's who I am.
Okay.
But it also addresses, actually more of it addresses the fact that I use evidence-based approaches. That my areas of specialty have to do with trauma and emotionally focused couples counseling. So,
awesome.
So,
thank you. In researching the local counseling and psychology associations in the area, I didn't find anything. I know just talking with one of my fellow workers at Gateway, they mentioned something on Facebook, but it's more of a teaching association. I'm just curious for you, do you consider, or with this, there not being an association, like a peer support for counselors, and you specialize in trauma, do you feel like there's a lack of support for the mental health field in this community?
It's probably kind of typical of Montana in some ways.
That's kind of from reading, yeah.
We're just kind of independent by nature, and for generations have been people that have kind of functioned on our own. And the same thing's kind of true, I think, in the counseling field. Where I find, I guess, some support is through conferences and training events. I still have a lot of connections. I have an Army chaplain friend that I probably talk with on the phone on about a weekly basis. I have actually an Army chaplain that I'm providing clinical supervision to, which is different. It's a whole different role, but I'm kind of involved in what he's doing.
It's still an outlet.
And within this building, this is an old hospital, so there are counselors' offices all through this building. Okay. So there's down on the first floor, there's another counselor that I've gotten to know fairly well, that's a military veteran, and we get together once in a while and talk.
So there is support, it's just not an association.
It's more informal.
Informal.
And I am actually, it's marriage and family therapist. It's the Montana Board of Marriage and Family Therapy. I'm on that board, so it's more, not so much for support as administrative responsibilities and things, but we do have at least one meeting a month and get together and.
So it's still morale though for the field in general.
Yeah.
And I guess that's one of the things I'm really looking for me. So that's one of the things I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sideline that for later.
Okay.
I know we're short on time, so. Do you feel the prevalence, and I think this kind of goes with what I'm starting to learn working at Gateway. Do you feel the prevalence of addiction in the area has added to some of the family struggles that you see?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about I would say probably at least 90% of the couples that come in. And I do a lot of individual, probably do more individual counseling than actually couples or families. But about 90% of the couples, it has to do with pornography.
Oh, wow.
Also high prevalence of alcohol and a fairly high prevalence of meth, unfortunately.
That's what I'm hearing a lot of. That kind of ties into my next question. From the research, there has been a significant increase just in this last year of the use and the reported use in the town. Have you seen an increase just within this last year of that?
I have only been in practice here for a year.
Oh, okay, that's an unfair
so
question.
I don't know from before that.
But
I've seen an awful lot while I'm here.
Okay.
In fact, I would say I was in private practice for about a year, a little bit longer maybe, in North Carolina. And then I did several short-term contracts with the military. I see more addiction, I think, here than other places. Well, actually, I take that back. North Carolina is right around Fort Bragg, and really high opiate addiction right there. Probably had to do with medications that were prescribed and then became abused.
I feel like that's some of the issue here.
Mm-hmm.
As a family and marriage counselor in Montana, what do you feel that you struggle with the most, or the struggles that come to you are?
I think infidelity is probably the biggest struggle that comes to me. Most couples, when they come, the presenting problem is communication.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that you hear. And then it's not until you sit down and you talk for a while that you find out that there are other issues. And then it usually is it's infidelity in some way. Sometimes it's pornography that hasn't been acted on, but oftentimes it's pornography that has led to contacting other people, and then from that, actual infidelity, relationships with infidelity. So
So how do you handle that?
In a couple of ways. What I love to do, and can't do it with everybody, but I love to combine EMDR with couples counseling. Because what's happened is a relationship trauma. And
That is actually one of the questions, so
yeah,
awesome. This is tying into that. Awesome.
couples have a really hard time working on anything while they're kind of in that trauma mode. So I'd like to do some EMDR, have somebody do some EMDR with them. That's my ideal. But I'm not always able to, it doesn't always happen for one thing. It's more counseling, it's more time investment. But the ideal, I think, is to do some EMDR to deal with that relationship trauma. And then what I like is unless there's there's violence or something going on in the relationship, I like to do more of a emotionally focused to really work on building a safe, secure relationship.
That's awesome. I was actually wondering that because I know that you were specialized in EMDR.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how that tied into family and marriage counseling. So
That's my dissertation was on combining those two, emotionally
Really?
focused therapy and EMDR. And I presented at the Andrea conference last year on that topic. So
I'd love to talk about that more later. That definitely is very interesting. That's me.
Let me get this and I'll be right back.
I'm gonna stop this.